Hello, thank you for joining me today. I'm Amber Corinne, and today we're going to talk about how to create a life you love or the life you love. So that's what our theme is today, really getting clear and helping you decide on what it is that you love. So this is a choice which is pretty foundational. It's one of our fundamental core four choices that I help clients get into the structure of living, because without choosing to actually love your life, actually choosing consciously to live a life that you love, it's very, very hard to create other things, because this is basically one of the foundational pieces in a creative structure where you're consciously creating what it is that you would like to experience. So let's dive into it. I want you to really get out of that framework of societal conditioning on what it is that you love, and get into more of a structure on connecting with what resonates for you personally. So let's talk about that a little bit. When we think about our life, we often think about our life from a place of reactivity. We're reacting and we're responding to things, and we often give our power away to outside external sources. We don't really think about it as something that we have the ability to create consciously, like if we were creating a piece of art, if we were creating some music, or we were creating a painting, or we were creating a craft of some form, or even writing a story or a poem, or even just a note to somebody. That is a creation. And we don't often think of our life in that way. And it really, really, truly is something that we would create in the same way we would create a picture, whether you like to sketch or draw or paint or write or whatever it is that you enjoy doing in an artistic format. Creating your life can be the same exact experience. So there's many different ideas about what it's like or how it's supposed to be when you create your life. Like, it's a really big question. Why are we here? Like, what are we really supposed to be doing? What are we trying to do? And out of everything that I've looked at and I've read and everything that I've heard and studied and what my mentors have heard and studied, it really comes down to one of the biggest questions of why are we here is we're really here just to have experiences. We're here to have experiences, and we're here to create things. And whether we're creating things consciously or unconsciously, it's really the fundamental piece that kind of runs through all areas of life. We're experiencing things. And whether we're experiencing things we enjoy or experiencing things that we don't enjoy so much, that's really up to where our focus is. So I want you to just take notice. This is a really, really key point. There is a priority to where you put your focus. There really, really is. You can have any experience that you want, but you can't have every experience that you want. And so what you choose to focus on is very, very key in what it is that you're going to create. So when we think about creating a life that we love, and we think about what would I really like, sometimes it feels overwhelming because, oh my gosh, there's so many things that we could create. There's so many things that we want to experience, right? And it feels like we want it all at once. And it feels like there's too many to decide. And when I think about stepping into the choice or stepping into consciously choosing to create a life I love, overwhelm, too much going on. And then it feels kind of defeating, because when it's that overwhelming, there's no way for us to even find a place to start. It's kind of like this big ball of yarn. And it's like, how do I even begin to unravel it? I have like a jewelry box with all the tangled necklaces, and the chains are really small. And it's like, where do I even start? It's like you feel like you have to dismantle everything in order to find a starting place. That is not true. If you think about it this way, if you're feeling overwhelmed when thinking about creating a life you love, or where to really dive into that choice, you wouldn't want to go to an orchestra or even go see a band, and you wouldn't want to have them play every single song at the same time, right? That wouldn't make any sense. Like, sure, you love all of their music, but for them to play all of their songs at the same time wouldn't be very fun. If you go to a music festival and there's multiple like stages, all the stages are playing at the same time. Not fun. You couldn't like distinguish each of the different bands, each of the different songs. Everything would overlap and it would clash, and you wouldn't be able to really truly enjoy any one specific artist or any one specific song. And it's the same way with creating the life you love. You can have anything that you want, but you can't have everything. And the primary reason is if you had everything, after the first little bit, you would lose interest. Kind of like going to a restaurant. You order everything on the menu, and after the first, plate and a half, you start to get full, and then you don't want the rest of it. You can't really truly enjoy everything if you have it all at once. So as you're following along, just really think about that. Let that land for you. You can't fully enjoy it unless you're very specific about what it is that you want to experience. And it's the same way with choosing to live the life you love. You can't really enjoy it unless you're a little bit more specific about what it is that you want to experience. It is a conscious choice. So it is a conscious choice to make, to choose the life that you love. And you do get to create it. And there is action in creating. So if you are interested in creating, taking that conscious action, taking that next step is very key. And I want you to think about it this way. If you're not in a conscious choice of what it is that you're creating in your life, then whatever shows up in your life is going to do the creating for you. I'll say it again. If you're not in a conscious choice of what you're creating, then whatever shows up is going to create for you. And here's what that means. If you're not consciously, proactively creating your life, there's going to be other people creating their lives. And whether they're creating consciously or not, most likely it's unconscious. There's very few people who are working to be conscious right now. There are people, but not the average person. And they're going to be creating from their fear centers. They're going to be creating from their anxiety centers. They're going to be creating from their overwhelm, their exhaustion, from their anxiety. And that's what's going to show up in your life. I got a new car a while back. It's been about 7 years now. But when I first got my new car, I was very excited about it. I didn't feel super worthy about it. Getting a new car, like a brand new car, there was 10 miles on it when I drove it off the lot, was a very exciting thing, but I didn't fully choose that choice. This was before I was in conscious creation. And I didn't feel worthy of having it. And another driver on the road just pulled out in front of me. And because I wasn't truly in the vibration of loving and enjoying my life and enjoying that vehicle, I became part of the anxiety, the fear, the frustration, the overwhelm of this other driver who was not paying attention. And they drove out and there was a collision, and my brand new car was in an accident less than a week after I drove it off the lot. The value, of a new car already depreciates when you drive it off the lot. And here it is in an accident. And I was just devastated. Oh, I was devastated. And looking back on that, it was a learning lesson for me. I wasn't showing up consciously in my life. And I realize that now. And the same thing happens. I'm sure that when you're floating around in your life and you're doing life, maybe you're feeling pretty good and just going with the flow. And then all of a sudden, your partner is having, upset about something, or your work and your boss is having an upset about something, and they just kind of suck you into their drama. Those are the type of experiences that come along and just derail and hijack if we are not consciously creating our life. And that's why every single morning it's so important to actually step into living a life that you love. Actually step into and train and teach your consciousness what it feels like to live a life that you love. Because by doing that, you're actually creating more of it and making it safe. And now the purpose of this training is really to help you understand and get clarity on how to step more fully into living a life that you love, so that it's not from that place of overwhelm. So again, you can have it all now, And if you don't have it now, living the life that you love, you're never going to get it. So think about it this way. When you're teaching and training your consciousness to have a new experience, your consciousness is fully aware of how it feels right now to be in this present moment. It's fully aware of what it feels like to be in your life. It's fully aware of the discomfort or the dissatisfaction that you have, of everything that is not quite right. And when you want a new experience, it's important to train your consciousness that it's safe to have that new experience. So having it now is going to allow your consciousness to create more of that now, because we really only have this present moment. We really only have now in this moment where we're experiencing life. We can think about the past, and we're experiencing a memory of the past right now. And we can think about the future. And again, we're pulling a memory or a thought of the future into the present. And it's all happening right now. So when you choose to live the life that you love, even if you're thinking of what it would be like in the future, you're experiencing it now. And the more that you can experience it now, as if it's happening right now, the easier it's going to be to live from that place. And then it's no longer a place you're trying to get to. It just is your life. And it makes having this experience so much more fluid and so much more rewarding. So you can think of it like this. For me, living a life I love before I knew about consciously creating felt like living life on a hamster wheel. The life I love was always out in the future. It was never, ever here in the now. My relationship that I was in was not good enough. I always wanted some aspect of it to be differently, to be better. My job wasn't good enough. There was always something that I really wanted to change, whether it was more money or less hours or coworkers to change, the assignments to change, whatever it was. My health, my fitness, and my body was never good enough. I was literally addicted to being dissatisfied, to being uncomfortable. I always wanted my wardrobe to be different, my family to act differently. I wanted to show up differently. I was constantly trying to fix myself in various different ways. And so even when I had that brand new car, I still didn't feel like my life was good enough at that point, because I was literally addicted to being dissatisfied. It was more comfortable to be chasing the next thing than it was to actually have it. So once I had that new car and I felt really excited about it, had the leather interior, it had the navigation system, it had, the new sound system, it had the keyless entry, the keyless start, all of the fun things. It wasn't good enough. It just didn't feel right, because I hadn't trained my consciousness to be okay with enjoying my life in the present moment. So that's a really powerful example of what happens when you don't teach your consciousness to be okay with what it's like in the present moment or what you want in the present moment. The present moment will show up, and then you'll do something or something will happen to cause that discomfort again, because the nervous system and the mindset and the focus is on that dissatisfaction instead of being on enjoying it, instead of being on appreciating it, instead of being on it's okay to have that experience. And I learned that lesson, and it was very hard to see, this vehicle that I still had months and months and months of payments to make, actually not months, years of payments to make, to see it completely crunched up on the side of the road, and to see my body hurting. That wasn't very fun. And to have it in the shop for over a month getting fixed, and then just knowing that it was damaged after I got it back, and here I'm paying a premium price for a vehicle that's been damaged. That was not a fun experience. So you may find something in your life where you weren't consciously choosing a life that you love, and you can think back like, yeah, I didn't choose it and something showed up and then I didn't keep it. Maybe it was a relationship that you weren't ready to have because you weren't fully present to it. Maybe it was a job that, was actually a really good thing, but you decided you were dissatisfied and you moved on. Whatever it was, you don't need to go searching for it, but just know that it is so powerful to do this work and to consciously choose a life that you love so that your life flows and you can enjoy it in the now. And you have to be able to enjoy it in the now in order to actually have it ever in the future. And the future is technically only the now. Okay, so I want you to see that in order for you to really have a life that you love, it literally needs to be now. It literally needs to be just right now. And when you think about stepping into a life that you love, and you look at what you would be doing, and you think about how you'd be feeling, and you hear what you'd be saying to other people and what they'd be saying to you, and you experience yourself in that experience, I want you to think about what are some things that you would love to be doing just because you love them. See, we're often conditioned to think about living a life that we loved based on what we've been told is worthy and valuable. And this is where people achieve what they were told would bring them success or would bring them joy or happiness. And then they get it and they don't feel better. And in my case, it was like getting the new car and then not feeling better. And there's many different categories. There's many different categories that we're told are kind of like the hallmarkers of a good life. A certain type of house, a certain type of vehicle, a certain type of relationship, a certain type of body, a certain type of education, a certain type of job, a certain income level, a certain type of, vacation or lifestyle. Everybody has one that's a little bit different of what they aspire to achieve based on their conditioning. But what's actually true is going to be unique to you. So let's think about what are some things that you enjoy doing, you enjoy experiencing just because you love them. Do you love crafting? Do you love going to the beach? Do you love gardening? Do you love seeing live music? Do you love listening to music? Do you love cooking? Do you love photography or taking pictures, just walking outside and being in nature? What are some things that you really just love? So for me, I love painting, and I don't give myself very much time to paint, but I do love it. I do love it. It's quite fun. I love making origami. It's just something that truly, truly brings me joy. Do I need to do it all the time? No. Do I need to do it every day? No. But if I made time to do some origami like a couple times a week, it would bring me some more joy. I love self-care. I love taking care of myself. I love connecting with people. I love making time for friends. So these are just some things that I really, truly enjoy. And think about some things that you really, truly enjoy just because you love them, not because you're getting paid to do it, not because people think you should do it or you think you should do it. What are some things that you enjoy just because you love them? And these are some things that you are going to want to focus on in living a life that you love. Because the joy that you experience in life is directly reflected with how much time you spend doing these things. So if you're feeling like life is kind of hard, it's a little bit overwhelming, that you're not feeling very much joy in your life, that it's not very rewarding, that no one appreciates you, whatever the case that you're feeling, literally the joy that you experience in life is directly reflected in how much time you spend doing the things that you enjoy, that you love. And with so many people experiencing depression, experiencing burnout. Yes, there are chemical imbalances. Yes, there are various reasons, other factors involved in that. But if more and more people would actually start to include making time for the things that they truly love in their daily life, there would be so much less depression. There would be so much less anxiety. There would be so much less dissatisfaction. There would just be so much more joy, so much more happiness for making the time to do things that you truly love. And just think about some things. Just if you don't have a pen and paper already, just go ahead and grab something to write with and just jot down, just start making a list. This is going to be your homework for the week. Just start making a list of things that you really, truly love. And when you first start doing this, sometimes it can be hard to really think about and remember things that light you up, that bring you joy. But I can think back, back to my childhood, and I had a rainbow of nail polishes on a top bookshelf in my room. And I just loved painting my nails. I just loved it. And I would do designs, and I would do different patterns, and I would change the colors quite frequently. And this was quite a long time ago. So there wasn't the rainbow of nail polishes that there are now. But whenever I would find a unique color, or I would find a unique color combination, or sparkles or something of that nature that was different, something I didn't have yet, I would always make an effort to, get that, to use my small amount of savings to get that as a child, and work towards that. And I would add it to my collection. And it was so rewarding just to see all of these different colors, this rainbow of colors that I would have, that I would be able to create, these masterpieces on my nails with. And the joy that I felt, I didn't do it to get attention. I didn't do it to try and impress my friends. I didn't do it to be rebellious, which my parents thought I was. Black nail polish wasn't very accepted back when I was growing up. Anything other than pink or red or something of that nature was really stepping outside of what was acceptable to be a female painting your nails. Not so much these days, but back in the day. And so I did it for self-expression. I did it for creativity. I did it because I really just loved it. So what are some things that you really enjoy doing just for self-expression, just for creativity, just because you love it? Do you love building things? Do you love sharing your knowledge? Do you love learning? Do you love reading? Just think about some things that you really love. I love finding the best nachos in town. It's true, I do. I don't eat a whole lot of dairy these days, but at one point in my life, I just absolutely loved going, searching the menus online, and then searching the reviews, and then just going every week or every couple weeks and trying out new places to try and discover the best nachos in town. I just loved it. That's just something that I really used to love. Not as much now, but I really just loved it. So just think about it. What is some of the stuff that you would love to do just because you would love it? And the more that you do that in your life, or the less that you do that in your life, is going to reflect how much you love your life. And it's really simple. Sometimes the simplest things are really the hardest things to follow through on. So my challenge to you is to just kind of make a list of some of the things that you would love. And we're often taught that, I don't even know if it's taught, it's just kind of picked up. We just often pick up this external focus, this focus on what is outside of us. And we start to do things not because we love them, but we do things to impress other people. We do things to impress other people and to get other people's attention or validation or respect or something of that nature. And so take a look at some of the things you've written down. And if there's anything on there that you're doing, and it could possibly be to impress other people, you might want to second guess that. You might want to really look at your motivations for why you wrote that down, because there's a difference between an internal reward, an intrinsic reward, and an extrinsic reward. And the world has become really focused on extrinsic. And we aren't doing things just because we love them. We're doing them for trends or fads, or to prove on some level that we have a good life. And that's not because we love it. It's because we want to impress other people. So really, really think about that. You know, when I was searching out the best nachos in town, I wasn't always posting a picture of them. In fact, I don't know how many pictures I've posted. I would take pictures for my own internal like reference, you know, looking back through my camera roll and be like, oh yeah, I remember when I went there, and oh, I remember those nachos were so good. Or the flip side, oh, I went there and those nachos were not very good. But I wasn't writing a review. Maybe you like writing reviews and it's just something that you truly love and enjoy, and you want to share that with other people. By all means, add that to your list of what it is to be part of a life you love. But for me, it was more about just the satisfaction that I got. You know, then if people asked me, I had, you know, something to share with them. I could tell them, here's the best place to go for this or that. But I wasn't doing it to impress other people. And that's what's really I'm trying to kind of convey with this, is it's not about other people. It's about you, what you enjoy, what you love. So if you're stuck, think about what you'd love intrinsically, just for you. When I make origami, it's just for me. Yeah, every now and then I include it in a birthday card or a gift of some form. I'll stick a little like origami creature on there. But I don't do that to impress other people. I do it because I truly, genuinely, and love. I just love holding the paper and seeing it turn into this little creature, seeing this flat piece of paper turn into something that's 3D and having it come to life. I love that. And so think about those things that you just love, and that you just love for you, not for other people. If you love getting dressed up and getting your hair done and, you know, going out and just feeling good about yourself in that way, and you're doing it for you, that is perfectly fine. You know, if you love playing video games and you just love it, and you just like get absorbed into the game and into the storyline and into the characters and into the adventure, that's fantastic. You're not doing it to compete with other people or to talk smack on Twitch or whatever the case is. You're doing it because you love it. And so just look at your motivations for the things that you love. Do you want more time in nature, more time with animals? Do you want to play sports more? Do you want to enjoy coffee more? Think about that. It's very important to focus on those intrinsic things, because the intrinsic things are what really truly brings the reward. So what would you do and enjoy just because? And even if no one else joined you or cared about what you were doing, just think about what lights you up, what makes your heart sing, what brings you joy. What do you do on the weekends to treat yourself just because you love it? And just think about, would you wake up early just to do any of these things because you're looking forward to doing them? You just choose to do it. So if you want to live a life you love, it's going to be directly correlated with how much you choose to do the things that you just love doing. And if you love bringing people together, maybe some things that you love do involve other people. That's perfectly fine, as long as you're doing it because you love it and not to impress others. You're not expecting anything in return. So one of the things that I've often heard from some people, aside from feeling overwhelmed with how many choices that there are to things that they enjoy doing, is that maybe they just feel a little bit too overwhelmed or burdened with the responsibilities of life. Oh, how can I make time to do things that are just for me, that I just love, when I've got the kids to feed, I've got work to go to, I've got all of these bills to pay, these appointments to attend, like I have too many things going on. And I want to talk to you about Abraham Maslow and his hierarchy of needs, because I'm going to do a little summary for you, and it's going to help put into perspective how important it is to make the choice to choose a life you love, and to actually make the choice to live from the core 4 orientation. So the core 4 orientational choices, you should by now be familiar with them, but if you're not, I'll say it out again. So in no particular order, the first one is I choose to live a life I love. The next orientational choice is I choose to be the predominant creative force in my life. The next one is I choose health and vitality. And then the next one, the last one is I choose to live my true nature and purpose. So I'll say it again in case you're taking notes. I choose to live a life I love. I choose to live my true nature and purpose. I choose health and vitality. And I choose to be the predominant creative force in my life. These 4 orientational choices, they're called the core 4, they are important because they establish you taking care of yourself on a deeper level. So let's talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I'm going to write it out here, and I'm going to write it on my board, and then I'll share my screen as well. Maslow was a really brilliant man. He lived, he's back in 1943. He released a really good work. And it's a nice metaphor. It's a metaphor that's typically drawn out in a triangle. And this is his hierarchy of needs. And I'm just going to summarize it for you. And this is the hierarchy of what people need in their life. That's as good as I could do for a triangle. So the first one, the base needs is a physiological need. Physiological. Hopefully that's spelled right. So the base physiological need, those are basic needs such as food, sleep, water, shelter, clothing, that type of thing. That's the basic needs that everybody has. It takes up the most of the triangle. And then the next one up is safety. The next one up is safety. Safety includes things like a sense of security, security of the body, security of employment, security of resources, of health, of family, just a basic sense of security in order to feel safe. Now, the next one up on the triangle, and so this is the basic, and so these are the ones that are up towards the top now. This one is love and belonging. Love and belonging. Love and belonging, family, friendships, intimacy, those sorts of things. It's really, really interesting. So we're going from our basic needs of survival and safety now into connection, into love and belonging. And the next two, the last two pieces, there's 5 pieces here of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The last 2 pieces are really fascinating. They're very, very interesting. The next one is esteem. Esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of self and others. Definitely need to have esteem in order to feel fulfilled. And lastly, the top here is self-actualization. It almost fit. Self-actualization. And I'm going to share my screen with you as well, so you can see what exactly that looks like on, let's see here. Share screen. Here we go. You can look at it a little bit in more detail. So that's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if you want a deeper understanding of his stuff, you can go ahead and Google it. But here's the reason why I'm bringing this up. It's really important. It's important that when you're making choices, and as you're creating your choices, it's important that you choose things that meet your needs and things that would fall in this hierarchy. And so the bottom is the physiological needs: food, water, shelter, sleep, clothing. And then the next one is the safety. The next one's the love and belonging. And then we've got esteem and self-actualization. So it's important to choose choices that are actually going to meet the needs, your basic needs. It's important that instead of going straight for self-actualization, that you're making sure that you are taking care of your basic resources first. And that's why it's important that we have these core 4 choices, the core 4 orientational choices: choosing to live a life I love, choosing health and vitality, living my true nature and purpose, and being the predominant creative force in my life. Those are very, very foundational because they meet all of these core 4 choices, all of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You're getting your living a life I love. That's going to include shelter and water and food and clothing and all of those things. The same thing with your safety needs for employment and resources and security. And then love and belonging, living a life I love, absolutely. Health and vitality, that's including your physiological needs. Being the predominant creative force in your life, that's absolutely part of the esteem. And then choosing to live your true nature and purpose, that's self-actualization right there. And living the life I love kind of encompasses all of those. So it's important that you really, really, truly do choose to create the life that you love. It's really important. And once you get the bottom ones figured out, if you're struggling to create, maybe you're struggling to create a business, if you're not allocating your resources properly and you're not taking care of yourself first, then it's going to be really hard for you to grow your business because you're going to be coming from a scarcity vibration that's on the lower end of the pyramid for the safety needs and the physiological needs. If you're struggling to pay your bills and trying to grow your business, it makes it a little bit harder. So coming from a place of service, you absolutely can leapfrog this hierarchy of needs, because from a place of service, there is no focus on scarcity. But for some people, it's a little bit harder to do that. So you do get to have it now, but you don't get to have everything that you want right now. So you just get to choose. You just get to choose. So I want you right now to go ahead and just close your eyes. We're going to have you get comfortable. We're going to have you close your eyes, and you're just going to choose. I choose a life I love. Just close your eyes and get into the end result. I choose a life I love. And we're just going to step into that choice together. Set things down if you still are writing or if you're taking notes or anything like that. Just set everything down. Stop what you're doing. Close your eyes and just step into that choice. Make the choice consciously right now. I choose to live a life I love. And then experience yourself in that environment, in that experience. Experience a reality where you're living a life that you love. And just notice how it is. And just think about all of those things that you've written down previously, those things that are intrinsically rewarding and valuable, that are part of living a life that you love. And just experience yourself in the feeling, in the emotion of doing those things and living a life that you love. And just notice how it feels. And take yourself a little deeper. And when you're ready, come on back, open your eyes. And if you noticed anything in addition to what you've already written down, add that to your list. Add that to your list. And now take a look around. Take a look at your life and just notice. How is your life different compared to that? What's it like now? This isn't about beating yourself up. This isn't about comparing or feeling upset or frustrated. And it's not about any of that. It's just about noticing what's not quite right. What's good, but what's not great. And we're setting up that structural tension. You might already feel it right now. How was it? And just acknowledge your current reality and just notice it. What would you love and where are you at right now? And just acknowledge. In order to move yourself closer to a life that you love, you're going to want to add one thing this week, at least one thing that is going to add to that sense of a life that you love. One thing that will expand your life. And the best thing about choices, the best thing, especially about living a life that you love, is you can just add one little thing. And that one thing can Fibonacci, it can just expand the joy, expand the love, expand the appreciation and gratitude and the experience of living a life you love massively, just by adding one little thing. So we're gonna do a wisdom process here. We've looked at what you want. We've looked at a life you love. And now we've looked at where you are now and what's not quite right, what feels like it's out of alignment. And we're going to do a wisdom process that's going to give you one thing that you can do in order to expand on the experience of living a life you love. So if you're ready, go ahead and close your eyes. We're just going to get back into the end result of living a life I love. I choose to live a life I love. And just feel it and just breathe it in. Step into that you who's living a life they love. Breathe through their lungs. See through their eyes. Hear through their ears. And just choose it. Engage with it. Connect with it. And from that place where you're living a life that you love, I want you to look back from that perspective. Look back at the you that's sitting in this session today. And ask yourself, from this perspective, looking back, what is one thing that I need to do? What is one thing that I could do this week that would move me towards a life I love even more? At least one thing. And just look back at yourself sitting in this session and just ask yourself, what is one thing that I can do this week that would move me closer to a life I love? And once you've got it, I want you to open your eyes, write it down, make a note, commit to doing it. And we're going to do the recode. We're going to do the recode. So look at that one thing. Look at that one thing that you got. And if you need to pause this, go ahead and pause it. Just connect in and get that thing. We're going to do the recode and look at that thing you wrote down. And out of 10, 10 means there's a ton of resistance to doing that thing. And 0 means you can do it super easily. So out of 10, just look at that one thing and just notice how much resistance you have. And write down that resistance. Write that resistance on your paper. Draw a circle around it. And just notice, how much resistance do you have to that one thing? And if your resistance is anywhere above a 5 or a 3, it's pretty high. You've got some recoding to do. It doesn't need to be that much resistance. So when you're ready, you've gotten your resistance, you've written it down. You must choose to give me permission to connect to your field. So if you're ready, go ahead and just close your eyes again. Take a nice big deep breath in. Bring your awareness into your heart and just give me permission. I give Amber permission to connect to my superconscious. And superconscious, are you there? Superconscious, connect me with everybody on this training and everybody who will be watching the replay in the future. Am I connected? Yes. And superconscious. I'm going to refer to you as superconscious because that's a part of you. Superconscious, do you understand the treatment process? Yes. Superconscious, we're going to create more satisfaction and less pain. So just notice all of the resistance that's right now in the way of taking the step to doing this one thing. All the resistance to living a life I love. Do you see it? Superconscious, we're just going to take all the resistance and we're just going to melt it down. We're just going to breathe it away. We're just going to notice it just disappearing. And please create a treatment plan to treat all the resistance in the perfect way and in the perfect order. Treat all the resistance in this session. And superconscious, do you see the resistance? Go ahead and treat this resistance, taking this step, all the resistance in the active experience, do a massive change history and everything is needed. Thank you. And just breathe with me. This resistance was originally created to keep you safe. It was originally created to keep you safe, to keep things the same, to keep you alive, essentially. And we're now choosing a more expansive experience. Our self-conscious wants to have a different experience. We're choosing a life we love. We're choosing it consciously. And so this resistance was created by you, for you, which means that you get to change it. It's the beautiful thing is you get to change it. And superconscious, are all the identities on board? Are there any aspects of the personality? Yes, there are aspects of the personality that are in resistance to living a life I love. Maybe they feel like it's better to be worried or it's better to be anxious. Maybe they feel like it's too overwhelming or it's too hard to take action. Just notice the resistance, superconscious, and please tag and treat all resistance in the aspects, the identities, the parts, and the personalities that are in resistance to taking this action, to living a life I love, do a massive change history, and everything is needed. Thank you. Superconscious, treat the aspects that are scattered. Treat the aspects that are shy. Treat the aspects that don't want to be seen because it's not safe. Superconscious, treat the aspects that were punished for being in joy, for enjoying their life, for having fun. And just going back to the original experience, noticing how old you were when you were first reprimanded, first punished for sharing your joy and laughing and giggling and having fun. And just treating that experience, treating that emotion, and all subsequent beliefs and definitions which have arisen from it, doing a massive change history and everything is needed. Just allowing yourself to feel and reconnect with the joy of living a life you love. Reconnect with the joy of finding excitement and pleasure in life. Reconnect with how amazing it is to be alive. And superconscious, treat the resistance in the body systems, in the cellular memory, in the tissues, in the bones, in the muscle fibers. in the organs and the glands, doing a massive change history and everything. Thank you. And just breathe. And superconscious, are there any associations causing resistance in the broken promises, in the family history patterns that need to be recoded? Superconscious, please treat them. Do a massive change history and everything. Thank you. Superconscious, treat the contraction in the heart chakra and the fear of being vulnerable and sharing joy. And treat the tightness in the face and in the jaw, and the facial muscles and tissues, and holding on to expressions and patterns to protect, to anger. And treating all resistance in the facial muscles and expressions. And breathing in and relaxing, and just step in again. Really step into the reality of living a life that you love. And superconscious, just choose it. I choose to live a life I love. And just choose it. I choose to create a life I love. I choose the end result of living a life I love. I choose to create a life I love. And feel it. It's the most important thing. The more that you are living a life you love and you are consciously choosing to create a life you love, the more you have to give to others, the more fulfilled you feel, the more aligned you feel, the more alive you feel, and the more you can enliven others, the more you can give to others. It's one of the most selfless acts that you can actually do, by sharing your joy with other people. So important. Superconscious, please align all aspects of the consciousness with this choice. Please choose to recode or reconsider any beliefs that were passed on in resistance. It's not about being allowed or being unsafe to love my life. Superconscious, treat all of this resistance in the perfect way, in the perfect order. I choose to live a life I love. Superconscious, please ground all memories that we've touched on today. Reconnect them back into this new choice, into this new grounded reality of choosing to create a life I love. And get back into the matrix of the universe. Take a nice, big, deep breath in. And breathe it out. Just bring yourself back into the room. And just notice what your resistance is now. Notice what you wrote down for your action step. And notice what your resistance is to taking that action step now. Have fun adding to your list of the things that you love this week. Have fun taking that step. Behavior is the highest form of communication. Behavior is truly what communicates priorities and importance. So you can think it and you can step into that choice all you want, but if you don't take action on it, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. And change is what we are looking for. A new experience. So have fun with it, play with it. This isn't about a homework assignment of, I need to do something and it's just too much work and oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. It's not about that. It's about, I get to do this. You get to change your life. You get to add more joy and more love and more fulfillment and more satisfaction into your life. And it starts with listening to your heart, listening to your superconscious, and taking that step adding one more piece of something that you love into your life every single day. All right, have fun with it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.